Hello my loves and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Nina and today we're stepping into Christmas in the 1960s. In a second video I will also show you how to make 2 easy recipes from the 1960s that are perfect for sharing in the holidays. So if you're interested, I will be posting that video soon. Even though Christmas is my favorite holiday, I'm a little ashamed to admit I own almost no Christmas decorations. I do make the food and listen to the music and watch the movies every year, but I haven't had Christmas decorations for a while now. That is why I thought that this was the perfect time to start researching so that I know what to look for when I'm vintage hunting, and also to learn how Christmas was celebrated in my favorite decade so that maybe next year I can step a little closer into a true vintage Christmas experience. I investigated various Christmas topics from the decade, including decorations, the best toys available, music, and TV specials. And also in that other video, a little bit about the food in the 1960s. But for now, let's just get right into what was Christmas like in the 60s. First, let's talk about Christmas decor. Aluminum Christmas trees are a staple of the decade as they reflected the era's fascination with space age and modern design. This is one of the things that I don't like about the 60s because I'm more of a traditional person when it comes to the tree. I don't like it to be anything other than green. I don't like them white, I don't like them with snow, I don't like them in silver. What's really interesting about these trees is that they were not paired with the typical Christmas lights because there were fire safety concerns that draping electric lights through aluminum could cause a short circuit. So the common method of illumination was a floor-based color wheel which was placed under the tree. I don't necessarily like this, but I do think that it's quite cohesive with the interior design of the 60s. So if you had a super modern space in your home and you wanted a Christmas tree, I do think it would look better with an aluminum tree instead. And also from what I've read, they seem to be extremely convenient to assemble. So that's one of the things that people despise about Christmas decorations. So if you are into just assembling things super fast, you won't have to put anything or not too much around it because you can just place the color wheel and it will just do its rounds through the night. If you didn't have an aluminum tree, you probably generously draped it with silver tinsel to give it that futuristic vibe. If not, you would use tinsel in different colors or materials and put it around the tree. Tinsel added movement and sparkle, and it's pretty representative of the era because nowadays we barely ever see tinsel in any shape or form. This is for sure what I would do with my Christmas tree. It sort of makes the tree look like it was another wrapped present, so I think that's a gorgeous addition. Hand-blown glass ornaments were extremely popular in this era, featuring elongated geometric shapes like spheres, teardrops, finials, and abstract forms that reflected mid-century modern aesthetics. This is the best example of how Christmas decorations have just gotten plain and boring, because what do you mean this was a thing in the 60s and 70s and now we just have badly assembled plastic ornaments? It's a tragedy. If you didn't have an aluminum tree, you would go with bubble lights. These lights work by using the light bulb's heat to gently boil a liquid, creating a continuous stream of bubbles inside colorful glass tubes. These sort of look like candles and they keep moving as they are turned on and even a little bit after they've been turned off. So it sort of makes the Christmas tree feel alive. It has become my personal mission to find these vintage bubble lights because they are so incredibly gorgeous. They were actually introduced in the 1940s and were massively popular until the late 70s, when the fairy lights, which are the ones that we now know as the Christmas lights, became popular and were introduced. Like most vintage decorations, these weren't exactly free of safety concerns, as the liquid inside this sort of candle looking ornament was pretty toxic, and if it broke, people had to leave the room for a while. So they're definitely beautiful and unlikely to fall and break, so it's just a matter of taking care of them. And one decor item, and probably the most important of them all, the wrapping paper. There's something gorgeous about vintage wrapping paper because the colors are a little muted, almost like they are old photographs. The designs are stunning as well, with classics like candles, snowmen, angels, Santas, and Christmas trees. If you ever come across vintage wrapping paper, please get it. You're going to make so many people happy with it, and you're going to have an actual treasure at home. Now let's talk about the toys that were super popular. Christmas gifts in the 1960s captured the spirit of a decade obsessed with imagination, technology, and play. Toys became more interactive and tied to popular culture than ever before. Many gifts reflected the era's fascination with space, television, and modern life. And what's remarkable is how many of them are still recognizable today, proving that great design and playful innovation never really go out of style, or at least that's what we hope for. The first category is creative and visual toys, and the first one on the list is Etch-a-Sketch. If you haven't ever played with that, you need to find one. It is one toy that requires a lot of focus and a lot of ability. There are many tutorials online on how to use it properly and all the tips and tricks you should know. So it's not just about, drawing lines. It's about really learning how to get the most out of it. And people just do amazing artwork with that, which it's just impossible to me. The next one is Kenner's new Spirograph. Spirographs go way back, but this was the first time that it was presented as a toy, so it's pretty interesting, and same thing, you would sit for hours and just draw with it. Then we have Viewmaster, which was introduced in 1939 as an educational tool, but it became popular in the 60s as a toy after a collaboration with Disney. In the Viewmaster, you have a story that is built with tiny pictures. You sort of put the card inside the Viewmaster and you start rotating it so that you can get to the end of the story. And same thing happens with Give a Show Projector. It's the same thing as a Viewmaster, but instead of being something more individual, it's like a group activity. You invite friends over and you project onto the wall the whole story so that you can see it as if you were watching a movie. And the last one in this section is the Polaroid Swinger camera. This one has a really nice story behind it. Apparently, they created this camera which was meant to be more of a toy than a camera, but it took actual pictures. And they marketed it through the Christmas season as the perfect gift for anyone who would like to take pictures and just get them instantly. It was pretty cheap in comparison to an actual professional camera, and people massively bought this Polaroid Swinger camera. But as soon as people started taking pictures with it and realized the pictures were quite small in comparison to a professional camera, or that the picture quality wasn't as good as the camera that they probably already had at home, they would just stop using the camera altogether. I actually saw some reviews of this camera and I saw the pictures that it takes, and they're not bad at all. I do think that in the 60s you wanted to cherish all those moments with actual pictures, and it made no sense to have like a tiny one to remember that moment, but it was overall a really good idea to have a camera as a toy. The next category is pop culture, and of course we have Barbie in her mod era, so just everything good with the world. This was Barbie's growing popularity, and it was when G.I. Joe was also introduced as an action figure. And in terms of pop culture, we also have James Bond toys. They sort of matched the ideas of the movies, so boys could play around as if they were James Bond going through the movies. I don't think James Bond movies were made for kids, so I don't understand why they had games, but apparently they were somewhat popular in the decade. In the next category, the space age obsession, we have the space crawler, which was just a spaceship. It was meant to sort of collect rocks from the moon. And we also have friction laser guns, which came with sound and light. So it was just a fun thing, like maybe like fight the extraterrestrials, I guess, or something like that. In the next category, which are the group games, we have Kerplunk. This is the one that has a ton of sticks that are holding some marbles, and people are meant to pull out the sticks. And at the end, the one person that has the least amount of marbles in their space is the one that wins. The barrel of monkeys, which objective was to create the longest chain of monkeys that are holding through their arms. The rocket sock'em robots, which are just meant 1-to-1 in a competition. They fight with a tiny machine, let's say. And your objective is to remove the head from the opposite robot. Something fun to play around. And one really stressful but really funny game that is still really nice today, Operation. In the next category, which is miscellaneous games, we have the Easy Bake Oven. I hadn't ever seen an Easy Bake Oven until I was researching for this video, but I had heard a ton about it in TV series and movies because it was so huge in the 60s and 70s. And I do think that maybe if I had been a kid in those times, I would have probably wanted an Easy Bake Oven as well. Then we have Chatty Cathy, which is just a talking doll. It was really interesting at the time because it was sort of a competition against Barbie. Like, how can we make girls want to play with baby dolls instead of like Barbie dolls? And they just included the whole like talking factor, which I think was pretty attractive as well for the era. Then we have Tammy's paper dolls. I used to love paper dolls as a little girl, and Tammy had her and all her family, so you could dress them all and then play around with the characters. And I kept this one last because I still don't know exactly what this game is for. I think it's for little babies, but it was just one toy that was ever present on like the schools, the playgrounds. It was always there, and it's Fisher-Price Chatter Pool Telephone. I never played with that, but I saw it everywhere. I don't know if it's still going around, but yeah, it's one thing that I have always thought is a little bit creepy. I do think now they are a little bit cuter, but back then they weren't as cute. And those are just some of the toys that I investigated. The 60s and 70s are great when it comes to the toys, so I thought it was an interesting thing to go through. Christmas in the 1960s was inseparable from music, especially through televised specials and seasonal albums that became part of the holiday ritual. Bing Crosby was the one who kicked off the golden age of popular Christmas music with the massive success of White Christmas, a song written for the 1942 film Holiday Inn. Crosby established Christmas music as something that was meant to return year after year. Building on that foundation, artists like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Andy Williams became enduring references for the holidays, reappearing each December through albums and television specials that felt comforting and familiar. By the 1960s, the sound of Christmas expanded further. Elvis Presley brought a more modern emotional intensity, Phil Spector introduced a contemporary production style, and the Beach Boys infused the season with youthful West Coast energy. While many of these voices feel forever tied to an era, others have found new life decades later. Most notably, Brenda Lee, who's rocking around the Christmas tree, has become incredibly popular again and again and again, thanks to social media introducing the same song that never truly disappeared to a whole new generation over and over during Christmas. That legacy still shapes the way we experience the holidays, so much so that it's now almost impossible for an artist to exist without eventually releasing a Christmas song or an album of their own. Christmas in the 1960s was also shaped by television, as animated specials became a cherished part of the holiday routine. Families would gather around the TV to watch these stories, many of which are still broadcast today. These are some of the classic Christmas TV specials of the era, and I'm going to name them from least iconic to most iconic. The first one is Christmas Flintstone. As you know, the Flintstones were already extremely popular, and this was just something that was definitely going to work because it was talking about Christmas in the Stone Age. It's extremely interesting to watch. The thing is, I don't think that worked that well as a TV special. It was made in 1964, and then they redid the exact same story in 1977, and now nobody remembers either of those, so we're just, it's more of like another episode from the Flintstones where they talk about Christmas and not a TV special that we want to watch every single year. Then we have Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, which was the first animated adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. This was from 1962, and it was the first time many kids were introduced into Dickens and into this story in particular, so it was a great success. Then we have Frosty the Snowman from 1969. This was the movie that sort of closed the TV specials of the decade. We have Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from 1964. This is a stop-motion animation picture, and it's really cute and beautiful. It has this handmade feeling that every stop-motion movie has, and I think that's the one thing that makes it extremely gorgeous to watch. Then we have, of course, A Charlie Brown Christmas, and this one is quite interesting because they introduced so many things that were completely new, like a soundtrack that was just jazz music, long silences because it was meant to sort of keep the essence of Charlie Brown comics, and also they introduced child voice actors, so it was just something that could have gone really wrong, and it turned out extremely well. It was made in 1965, and we're still watching it nowadays, so it was a huge success and still is. Last but not least, the most iconic of them all, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This one mimicked Dr. Seuss' original illustrations, which were completely unusual for TV animation at the time. When you think about it, most of these films appeared just a decade after the television became a common household presence. Their creators actually understood the power of television and came up with these outstanding stories that just keep coming back. It's no coincidence that many of these traditions still feel familiar today. The 1960s became a defining moment in shaping how Christmas looked, sounded, and was experienced. Modern trees and mass-produced ornaments reflected a society that was finally able to enjoy abundance after decades marked by war and recovery. But alongside that abundance came a need for reassurance, a reminder that Christmas wasn't only about the presents, but about togetherness. Everything was designed to bring people together, creating traditions that continue to resonate today. That was everything for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember, there's another video with 2 really easy recipes from the 1960s that are perfect for the holidays, for sharing with your loved ones. Merry Christmas to you all, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for 100 subscribers. That is the best Christmas gift that I could have ever gotten. Thank you so much for watching and for being here, and see you on the next one. Bye!
But they sure got some cuties incorrect.